Yeah.
I am worthy of what I want in my life.
Yeah.
That's the only place it'll come, because if you go any kind of external, it's just never going to come to you in the way that you want.
Yeah.
Because you're going to keep trying to grab it, more cars, more money, more pussy, more friends, more anything. And you're just like, why can't I just fill this hole of just not being worthy? It's like, well, you have to claim it for yourself.
Yeah.
And start from there.
Yeah, I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly. I'm making his dog like I'm in the big leagues. Yeah, I told him I'ma hit it out of stance. I deserve another 100 bands.
And welcome to another episode of the Married Game Podcast. We are the voice you trust when it comes to lust, and we are who you hire when she lacks desire. And if it's been a minute since she's came, make sure you tune in to Married Game. And we have a guest today, Ed Baxter. Welcome, man.
Thank you,
Welcome
man.
to the Man Cave, bro.
I appreciate it. I love this place. It's
I'm
awesome.
stoked that you're here because the problem you solve is a very real problem. We have a ton of guys that listen to this. It's probably 80 to 85% dudes, and it's quite a few listeners. And that being said, you solve the problem of dudes who have been cheated on.
That's right.
And you solve it in a major way. You've helped a lot of guys do this. You've been after. I'm going to have you tell your story, but I just wanted to kind of precursor it. You and I have known each other for a little over a year. I met you at WarriorCon 4, I think it was. Was it before then? About that time or so, right?
Probably.
All right.
I think so. I've seen you around.
Yeah, so
I
that's...
think we actually met then.
Yeah, 16, 18 months, somewhere around in there. And I just like you. I think you have a great energy. You have a great attitude. And the conversations we've been able to have been meaningful. And you clearly have a method that helps guys. So I just want to pepper you with some questions, kind of hear your story, how it came about, and then maybe give some tips to the guys that might be in there. There's obviously a lot of dudes that listen to this that have had their significant other step out on them. And obviously you're the expert on helping them with that. So
Absolutely.
How did you start genuine attraction?
Started because I wanted to do like what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Just the game, right? But I didn't like the whole game setup back then.
Lean forward just a touch to make sure that we're into that. There we go.
All right, there we go. How's that?
I think so. Keep going.
So I wanted to do the game thing,
Perfect.
but what I didn't like was traditionally the whole game thing was like how to manipulate, how to make yourself more narcissistic so that you would protect yourself against any kind of rejection that you would get, right? I'm awesome in spite of how I'm coming across, and hopefully somebody will catch it. And then what I realized is what you put out there you attract. So then as you're putting up this mask of who you are, the other person's also putting up this mask of who they are, and then you wonder why you don't get along. Because nobody can actually see each other, relate to each other, and you end up getting with somebody you didn't expect. And also, that whole thing was, if you try to pretend to be somebody you're not, then if it works, great, but then if it doesn't work, then it's like the whole pretense of it or the whole subtext of it is that I'm just not worth it. I'm just not worth anything as I am. And so my deal was always be unapologetically yourself with love and humility. In other words, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Yeah. How does one start that process? Because you talked about feeling worthy of being who you are. And I feel like this is a theme that, hell, dude, like Garrett and I still talk about it. Like every guy I know, we're always working through the am I worthy of X, Y, or Z? What's a step that a guy takes for do that, or how have you found that for yourself?
Well, it was interesting. In a stack I did, Mark Jennerson reminded me of something of one of my own truths. Was you claim it, you claim your worthiness, and who decides it? You just decide right now.
Yeah.
I am worthy of what I want in my life.
Yeah.
That's the only place it'll come, because if you go any kind of external, it's just never going to come to you in the way that you want.
Yeah.
Because you're going to keep trying to grab it, more cars, more money, more pussy, more friends, more anything, and you're just like, why can't I just fill this hole of just not being worthy? It's like, well, you have to claim it for yourself.
Yeah.
And start from there.
Was there anything that you claim, like, can you think of a very specific story where you're like, I didn't feel worthy of this, and I said, fuck it, I'm claiming it, and then you actually, like, do you have an example or a story of this?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I mean, I
Let's
grew
go,
up.
baby.
Yeah, I'll tell you my story. So I grew up very nerdy. And
Okay.
maybe I can get you a picture or something, and you'll love it.
Okay.
From high school, it's like, holy shit, this guy. And then like through college as well. And so women didn't like me at all, not at all. And I was too shy too, because I grew up in a household with, I think my mom has like maybe borderline or something. So like you always was in this, you never knew what kind of person you were going to get. You'd be loved 1 minute and then you'd be kind of admonished the next minute and instill that nice guy behavior in you massively, to where it's like so what you end up doing, you grow up trying to get that validation and love from women because you couldn't get it from your mom. It was never, nothing was ever good enough, right? And so I didn't date anybody in high school. The first time I kissed a woman, I was 20.
Okay.
And first time I got laid, I was 20, and I'm just like, and I didn't even really like it.
Was that the same day?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, that'd be a fun story.
It wasn't quite that smooth, man.
Yeah.
No, she kind of roped me into it. And I wasn't really that into her, but everybody else was going around having a good time, having sex, going to parties and stuff like that. And I just wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be included. I wanted to have these experiences that everybody else was having. And so I just kind of said, okay, I'll go with it. And she had other issues on her own. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but like she had her own issues, right? And so I was always trying to please her. I was always trying to serve her, and it just kept getting worse. She was never happy. She was always depressed. She wanted to sleep all day. She wasn't even going to really graduate from university. And I'm over here trying to be an industrial engineer. And I just got an anxiety attack because I just I let it keep progress, like a lot of guys do. They get with a woman, they just let it progress. Hey, I want to get married. I want to do this. Let's move in together. They just, over time, she just wins as a battle of attrition, right? And guys will do that. They'll live with her. I don't know if I want to marry her. 6 years later, ends up marrying her. It's like, dude, you don't even really like her to begin with. She's just your backup girl that you're just living with because you don't value yourself enough to go to the next one. And that's what I was doing.
God, that's so true. Keep going, man. It's so fucking true.
And I had an anxiety attack, and I'll never forget the day. It was when that movie Underworld came out. You remember Kate Beckinsale looking smoking hot? And I was
that
like,
chick is so fucking
oh,
hot.
God.
Dude.
Yeah,
I would love to fuck her one day, man. God damn.
And,
Jesse, let's go fuck Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale, if you're out there and you hear this podcast, my wife and I, we want you. Okay, go ahead.
And I remember, like, all of us, my friends and her and myself, we were going to go, and I remember just, like, I couldn't breathe. So I had to go outside, and it was a cold air.
Wait, because she was just so hot?
No, I'm not sorry. I'm not talking about Kate Beckinsale. I'm going back to this woman that I was with
Okay,
because I was
got it.
supposed to get married to her in 6 months.
Okay, got it.
And the pressure of this, and like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And like, I got this anxiety attack, and I'd never had one before. I go outside in the cold air, and I never forget. I just put my hands on the chain link fence, put my head down between my hands, like, oh, I just can't be helped. I can't save this woman. I can't emotionally take this anymore. And so I broke it off with her. A couple years later, I get with another woman who was from my hometown. She's a lifeguard at the Y. Her family was well connected in the town that my dad was in. And we got along really well. She wasn't really my physical type, but we got along really well. We talked on the phone for hours and hours and hours. And so because I was so disconnected with my heart, I didn't have the ability to have this, I didn't have this intuitive ability to tell, like, if the person with me was authentic or not. So I had to make up all these rules, like, if she liked if my cat liked her, then she was probably okay. Like, I had to make all these no-go rules because I didn't trust myself to get roped into another relationship where I was just taken advantage of. And so I looked at her. She had a great relationship with her family. She was doing well in university, and we got along really well. And we got married a few years later. And so it was like that roped-in situation, like I was just describing a few minutes ago. And she's what I would call now the 80% girl. So like there's no real red flags, but she's not really what you want. So it's like, it makes a hard decision. Well, how do I leave her? She's not a bad person, like, and there's nobody else, coupled with my own unworthiness. And I just stayed with her. And we did this thing for years and years and years. And then got the house, and then eventually, the battle of attrition, and we got married. And I was good with it. When we got married, I was like, all right, I can make this work. I'm happy. Let's fucking go.
Well, can we pause real quick?
Yep.
What was the 20% that you didn't like? What was missing there? So that the guys...
I didn't even know.
Okay.
Because I didn't have any dating experience.
You wasn't really her physical type, so I don't know if that you're just like, she's a little
my physical
chubby,
type was the Kate Beckinsale
Oh,
from
got it.
Underworld.
Yeah, well, okay. Okay, fair enough. All right. I'm reading your mail now. Got it.
Yeah, so... And I didn't know, because she was only the second woman I'd ever dated.
Okay.
So it was just this thing of like, I'm not choosing the women I want to be with. They're choosing me, and I'm just going along with it because that's what's available. And that's what a lot of guys do. Most guys do that shit.
Yeah, they really do.
And she felt that. She felt that unworthiness, right? She felt that I wasn't all the way into her and that there was more, but that I wasn't all the way into her because I wanted more.
Got it.
And like a woman's intuition is very acute, she's going to feel that. And just over the years, it just wore her down. And she realized that she would never be what I truly wanted. But I was too much of a pussy to do anything different. So I couldn't leave her because who am I going to go to?
Yeah.
Nobody likes me.
Oh.
And so when I found out she was having an emotional affair with a coworker after our son was born, our son was about a year old, it just devastated me. It was like, if that's not going to work out, how is it ever going to work out? Right? And then I watched my dad, and he had been cheated on by my mom over and over and over again. And so I didn't want to become angry and bitter like he was, and kind of like he's still kind of afraid of that situation. If you can, it creates a trauma within you when that happens. It's hard to get over it. And I remember that what I had been doing for years was I was having this woman actually chase me. I didn't know this. There's a subtext of it. I'll never forget. It was the day after Valentine's Day, and I was walking upstairs, and I was like, oh, where's my wife at? And her mom had come so that we could have an overnight date. And for the first time since our son was born, it was going to be a great time. We were going to go down south and look for a new house. But when I went upstairs and I saw our mother-in-law and her were locked in the bedroom, which was weird because there's never a locked door in a house. So I heard some crying, and so I knocked on the door, and I was like, is everything okay? And the door unlocked, but nobody opened the door. So I opened the door and I look in there, and my wife at the time was crying on the bed, and I was like, oh shit, what's going on? So obviously I was not supposed to be privy to this conversation. And so just walks by me, and she walks into the bedroom right next door. And I go and I sit on the bed in my usual spot on the right side. She gets on her spot on the left side, our habits, And I'm like, so what's going on? She's like, I'm not happy. And she had said I'm not happy 6 months prior, but that's the only inkling I had that she was unhappy. And I remember being so pissed off because she's like, how could you be fucking unhappy? You got the beach wedding you wanted, you got the house you wanted, you have the son you wanted, you have everything in your life you fucking want. What the fuck else do you want?
Right.
And I was so fed up with it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm just not happy. And so I just went out on a limb. I was like, is there someone else? She's like, I don't want to say.
You just said.
And exactly, right. I was like, well, my first inkling was like, well, this shit is not going to stand. Do not, it's over. If that guy is here, it's fucking over. And then she's like, well, if you make me do that, we get along real well. He's like the best friend I've ever had. I'll resent you forever. I was like, oh, fuck, I can't have resentment. So I let it go on, thinking that, oh, I'll just be better than this guy. I'll just be better than this guy. And then over the next couple of months, as I'm trying...
Is that because it was just emotional, it wasn't sexual at that point? You're like, whatever? Or was it sexual at that point?
No, it wasn't sexual.
Okay.
He was a few states away. They were from work. It was like a tele thing,
Oh, got it. Yeah.
But it was yeah, and that's why I was like, well, I could make this work. I think for a lot of guys, if they find out that a woman's been sexual with another guy, they're just like, I just can't go there ever again.
Yeah.
I know that's how I would be.
Yeah.
And so, but for a lot of guys, that's not the case. They just get wrapped up anyway. And I let it go on for a couple of months until it was just driving me crazy. I was trying to prove myself. I was like, I'll just be better than this guy.
Yeah.
I know old pickup stuff back from the day. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I'm trying to do this, and I had no emotional self-control. I'm getting pissed off. I'm getting frustrated. Nothing I'm doing is working. Every time I lose my shit, it just drives her further into him, right? Because he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So he's coming off as cool and collected and solid.
Yeah.
And I'm an unhinged maniac.
And he doesn't have to put up with all her bullshit from day to day.
No, he has no concept, absolutely no concept of what's going on.
Yeah.
And a couple months later, I'm in the bed, same place I was before. She's sitting in the same place before, same fucking conversation we've had 100 times over of why the fuck isn't this working? And I had another anxiety attack, second one in my life. And my hands are shaking, and I'm like looking down, and I'm just numb. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what the fuck's going on with me? And I'm saying this out loud. I'm like, what is going on with me? And she's over to my left, and I'm like, I know I sound like a maniac and a weirdo right now, but I just don't fucking care. And at the same time, my manipulative mind is thinking, how can I leverage this crazy to my advantage?
Yeah.
And as I'm doing this, I just broke down and I saw for the first time ever that what I was doing was I was making her chase me for the last 6, 7, 8 years so that she would never leave me.
Okay.
And I was like, it's not fucking worth it. It's not worth it. I can pretend to be somebody else. I can try to get somebody, I can try to make somebody chase me. I can do all this bullshit, these tactics. I can pretend, put the mask on, do anything, any of this stuff that's not authentic, essentially, and it just doesn't work, and it's not worth it. So I said, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna, if I have to be single for the rest of my life, I'll just do it. I don't care. If I am never going to try to force somebody to like me ever again.
How empowering was that? Was that the moment of empowering?
That's when I claimed it.
Yeah.
That's when I claimed it. I was like, fuck it, I'd rather be single. I don't need this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And then when I'd go out and date, that's the energy I'd bring. Like, this is who I am. I own all of me. I'm unapologetically myself. I'll be cheeky, be stupid, whatever. It doesn't matter. How the fuck are you going to hurt me?
Yeah.
My wife just cheated on me. Oh, you're going to reject me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck hurting me with that. And so it became my superpower.
Was there an overcorrection that you needed to dial some stuff back, or was the overcorrection that was everything you needed? Was there a balance there? What did you find? Because eventually you had to let somebody in to find out who the real you was, or were you just the real you?
I was just like, this is all me.
Got it.
This is all me. But I didn't want to be, but heart and humility, right? Unapologetic with heart and humility.
Yeah. So you weren't just a braggadocio, a dickhead. You were just like, hey,
right.
this is me.
It's not like I was like, I'm just a straight shooter. It's like, no, you're a fucking asshole, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what a lot of guys are. They're just assholes.
And so this whole part of dating that I was doing, I said, this is just what I'm going to do. A really odd side effect of this breakthrough, and I was doing a lot of meditation at the time, I'd hit these states of high love, where I could see the perspective of my wife. I could sit in front of a woman on a date, and I could see exactly what's going on with her. I could see all of her, how she's insecure about this one thing. I could read her mind, but I could feel like what she's doing and where she's going. And I would just talk to the person inside. And so me just being me, vulnerable, you can't hurt me. Like, this is who I am. Yeah. And then me seeing the person inside of her, it was wildly attractive. Most women have never been seen in their life.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, so what happens from then? Do you find another person, and then how do you say, you know what? There's probably a bunch of other dudes, and clearly because of the success of your business, there's a bunch of other dudes that have been through, whether it's emotional cheating, physical cheating. Did you have to work through all that, or was that day when you said, fuck this, I'm just going to be who I am, and if I'm single, was that the day? Was there anything else you had to work through?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
So, like, if you're just going to have a bunch of short-term flings or even, like, these, 1-2 year relationships, you don't have to deal with trust issues. You don't have to. Doesn't work out? Fuck it. There's another woman right around the corner.
Yeah.
And when you're being this authentic and you're seeing this woman, you don't have any shortage of women who want your attention.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had to learn to meter it, because we're dealing with real hearts, we're dealing with real people, and you can't open a woman up like that without causing further injury for the next guy, So if she's not a good match, I would just say, okay, this isn't. I'll just stop that before I fully open that up, And I was never going to get married again. I was like, fuck this shit. There's no legal reason to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I don't recommend this for the next men, for other men listening to this. I had enough discernment where I could see this. So in February, my ex-wife found out that I was being cheated on. And then in August, I started dating who would become my wife. It's really fast. For most men, I would not recommend that. They don't have the discernment either. But I could see who she was. That didn't mean that the trauma wasn't there and I wasn't freaking the fuck out.
Okay.
So I would still think, oh, what's she gonna cheat on me? Is the other shoe gonna drop? And it's like, Guys don't worry about being cheated on unless they have a mortgage and a kid with a woman. They got something to lose, or a business that they've worked with. And then it's like, you got a lot to fucking lose if she cheats on you, bro.
Yeah.
And then you'll freak out.
Yeah.
And so I had started a Facebook group called Genuine Attraction. And I asked the guys in there, hey, anybody here been cheated on? I'm thinking about maybe making a program to do this. Because I was just coaching guys in the dating stuff.
I just how to pick up chicks, how to date, how to find.
Yeah, just how to authentically go out there and just get the attention like I was getting.
Yeah.
And or was getting at the time, because I was not trying to date, because I was with my wife at the time. And I would get off the phone with these guys, and I'd come home to my wife Alicia and be like, "What the fuck you been doing?" Or it made me paranoid as hell. Like, anybody can be fooled, you know?
Yeah.
Like, anybody can be fooled. So there's a level of victimization, but you don't have to be a victim once you figure it out. Like, you can always make a choice. And so I had to deal with those trust issues, and that was the hardest one to deal with. It took years for me to get over that. So I made a program at the time called Move On After Betrayal, which is now called Betrayed to Badass.
Nice.
And
That's a good name.
yeah, I like it. It's got the
Betrayed
whole journey right
to
there in the
Badass.
name.
Yeah. That's good.
So yeah, the program's called Betrayed to Badass, and that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
Is that still the name of the program?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
it's the name of it. That's right.
Okay. So Genuine Attraction is like the overall thing, and then there's different programs.
Yep.
Well, tell us about the program. So these guys, I can promise you, there's dudes listening to this. There's thousands and thousands of guys that listen to this podcast. So somebody in there is like, I've been betrayed, and I want to be a fucking badass.
Well,
And
sure.
they're looking at the ginger bearded wonder on there. If they're listening here, most people listen via audio, but still, what is that the program for them?
Yeah, so the entry point would be Betrayed to Badass. Once you've kind of gone through that, getting over the pain and understand like the dynamic of the relationship and be able to really emotionally regulate yourself, so that you can handle all the fire and fury of a woman and not become of it, so that you can be present and see her, the person inside, like I can, so that you can actually address the actual issue instead of all the stuff that's going on. And learn to like really take charge of your life and really discover who you are. When guys lose themselves in a relationship, and like what they'll do is they'll make their wife their life, and then from her perspective, what they don't realize is that he's got nothing going on.
Yeah. That's the death knell.
That is.
She's
like, the only thing he's got going.
Thing he's got going on.
Yeah.
What a fucking loser.
I tell guys, like, look, you can be she can be she can be your favorite person, your most important person, but she's not your most important thing. Your most important thing needs to be your vision, your divine purpose, your calling, some inspired vision that you have for your life.
Yeah.
That comes before her. She might not like that, but if push comes to shove, she needs to know that you're on path and that she can't pull you off of it.
Is that how you feel now with Genuine Attraction and Betrayed to Badass? Like this is the thing for you to like, hey, I went through this and now I'm going to share it with other dudes so that they have hope and light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, dude, I bleed for these guys.
Yeah.
Like it's the choiceless choice. There is no going back. This is me through and through. This is all I do. This is all I ever will do.
Yeah.
And I'm all fucking in.
When you see, because when I see guys who go through sexless marriages, or when they come to me at Married Game, like I know exactly what chapter they're at in the book. Do you see the same thing where you're like, oh fuck yeah, I got it. He's right at the end of Betrayed. He's on his journey to badass, but he's right at the end of it. And is that pretty easy for you to see?
Oh yeah, I can tell exactly what's going on. Talk to a guy for 2 minutes and I know exactly where he's at, what he needs to do.
Is it words that he says that you go, oh, I know it? Because that's what the trigger is for me. If a guy says something, I just go, I know where he's at in the journey. And it's words. We're all different, so I'm kind of curious about how the magic flows through you.
Well, it's good to know, one, if he's still living with her.
Okay.
If she's cheated, if it's an emotional affair, if she's called him a narcissist. So I look for certain triggers for if we're dealing with a personality disorder. That's a different game than a wife who's just been with this guy for 15 years. The kids are out of the house, and she's like, I'm just tired of dealing with a bunch of kids, and I want to be on my own for a while. I don't need men. I'm tired of taking care of everybody, you know? That situation is different from a guy who's been cheated on by a woman who's just completely overwhelmed because of the kids, and she's just looking for some sort of meaning in life before she loses her beauty. You know,
There's a lot of different avenues.
there's a few different avenues. So I look for words. I look for just different little things that tell me where he's at in his situation. And most people are so similar. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. What's the most telling thing? Like, you know, whenever I go on podcast or I do my marketing or whatever, I go, hey, here's how you know you're in the pit. She's stopped initiating. She stopped enthusiastically participating, or she's more into the spreadsheets than she is the bed sheets. Like she's into the money. And you feel like a walking wall.
I love your little rhymes, man.
Yeah,
They're
so
awesome.
it's like, and the guy goes, yeah, she stopped initiating, and dude, she's just laying there, and when I'm fucking her, and it's like not even a thing anymore, and God, all she wants to do is buy shit. And they go, I can identify with that. Do you have like those types of things? What are those? So that the listeners will know, hey, dude, this is my guy. I need to hook up with this dude.
I just talked about the manipulation. Any woman who's cheating is manipulating the fuck out of her husband.
Okay. What does that look like? How can he tell he's being manipulated? Or telltale signs?
It's usually the tone of voice, this feeling of I'm a piece of shit, this thing that she doesn't matter what he does, she just will never be happy. Name calling, hitting, yelling. There's a lot of yelling and screaming on her, and him just like walking on eggshells. Just like, I don't know what kind of person I'm gonna get when I come home. A lot of lost time. Like, what have you been up to? She's like, I just went to Walmart like for like an hour and a half, and you didn't buy anything. You came back with celery. Like, what the fuck? You know? Or
and these guys they're like, this isn't fucking adding up. This math isn't mathing.
There's usually some suspicion. Very guarded with her phone. Puts her phone under her pillow when she sleeps. He'll want to snoop, and then he will snoop, and then he'll find something. Getting a lot of attention on social media. She'll start doing a lot of these selfies with cleavage and that kind of thing. Just starting to show off because she's like, hey, I'm available.
Yeah.
Like, he'll disappear from her social media completely. She'll change her status, but that's a little bit more obvious.
Yeah.
Some of these women are really mean. So what they'll do is they'll do this on purpose just to hurt him. They'll show this to him and just see what he does. And then he does nothing. He tries to save it. And then he's like, really? You're going to try to save this when I'm doing all this to you? You weak little pussy.
Yeah.
Which just drives her further away.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm going to do it. I have conviction. I'm a man. I'm going to make this happen. And she's just like, you're an idiot.
That was the hardest thing for me to be able to share with most guys is when she's pulling away, they start working harder for her approval, and it's like, oh shit, dude, you're just lowering your status more and more and more.
Yeah.
You see that a lot with the guys you're working with?
Every 100%.
Yeah.
They're all doing that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help because every fucking men's program out there tells them, just work harder, bro. Work on yourself. She'll come back. But that they don't tell you is like, no, you got to do that for yourself.
Yeah.
And you should have been doing that before, and you lost your vision, you lost yourself, and you weren't willing to stand up for what you want.
Yeah. Dude, whenever I tell a guy, you know, I said, if you're trying to get your ex back or your sex back, we got to get your ball sack and your backbone back first.
Yep.
It sounds like you're saying the exact same thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
The process is the same.
It is the same.
It's always the same. And like, if you're not willing to walk away, you have no power in a relationship. I don't care how long you've been married.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Christian or
Yeah.
what religious background. If you're unwilling to walk away, there's a part of her that says, well, I guess I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And a guy waits around thinking, at some point she'll notice how mean she is. At some point she'll notice. At some point she notice. No, motherfucker, claim your worthiness and say, I'm not putting up with that shit anymore. And so I get fired up with that. A lot of the stuff I'm doing is like me just getting angry for the guys to give them permission to get fucking pissed.
Yeah.
They don't put up with that fucking bullshit.
Yeah, dude.
What are you doing?
Yeah, dude. I feel the same way. What do you tell the religious guy? Because like divorce for them is anathema. It's almost like divorce is like the fast pass to hell for them. What do you tell them?
Oh, I tell them the truth.
Okay. Which is what?
Well, you made your God your wife. Your wife is your false idol. And so God will remove your fucking marriage to save you. God don't give a fuck about your marriage. God cares about you. So if you make your wife your God, don't be surprised when you get divorced.
Oh, I like it. I felt the certainty in that one, Ed. I like it. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that guys have going through this process Like I know one of them you talked about, like I'm gonna work harder, I'm gonna try more. Those things. Those are some pretty clear ones. Is there some other ones that maybe are as obvious or not as obvious, but are just as powerful?
Yeah, there's a healing path.
Okay.
And it's not my healing path. It just is the healing path. One, you have to get clear. You got to deal with the emotional dysregulation. You have to deal with your shit. Two, you got to get closure without her. In other words, what is a healthy baseline for a relationship supposed to be? And measure what happened in your relationship on that. Not on what the ever-moving goalpost, as she says, because she'll lie to you just to sandbag the process in order for the divorce to take longer, because she doesn't want to deal with the risk of the divorce either. 3, what should you have done differently in your relationship? 4, who the fuck are you? 5, where the fuck are you going? 6, you need to find a woman. You need to have abundance in women. You need to see your worth in the sexual marketplace. And 7 is dealing with your trust issues. In that order. If you try to skip the process, there's always problems. Everybody's like, yeah, just go get with another woman. Like, yeah, you can. That'll give you the instant validation. But then, like, you still were cheated on. Your kids are still not in the house. You're still alone. Or like, just find your purpose. It's like, man, I can't even think of my purpose. My whole life is turned upside down. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? It's like, well, I guess I am going to find out who I am. I'm sitting in this house all by myself. And they don't deal with the emotional stuff in the beginning. You have to do it in order. If you try to skip steps, it doesn't work.
So the first step was deal with the emotional dysregulation. What does that look like? Those are some really big words for a guy like me.
Okay, so really it's like handle the pain.
Okay.
Deal with your pain. Face it.
What's some of the practical steps a guy can do to start to do that?
First is just allow it to be there. Feel it fully. Your ability to tap into your emotions, feel them fully, allow them to be there without judgment and changing them, is your direct ability to feel into your woman. Directly related. So that's your key to your intuition. If you've been hiding all your emotions in a box under the stairs your whole life, and it's like trying to put everything on a fucking credit card. At some point, you can't pay the interest anymore, and you have an anxiety attack, and you wonder why. It's like, yeah, dude, you've been burying your emotions for 35 fucking years. And now you're trying to go out here and your wife, you find out your wife's cheating on you. You can't bury anything else at this point. You blow up and lose your shit. This is where we get all these restraining orders from. This is where we get the unhinged maniacs and whatnot. We've all done it, man. If you find out your wife's cheating on you, you lose your mind. And so teaching guys to actually feel their emotions but not be a victim of them and not indulging in the victimhood of the emotions is critical.
What does that look like in a healthy way? Does that look like what's the mindset of a guy when he's what's his like principle? Like, okay, this hurts like fuck, and it is what it is. It's gonna hurt, and I'm just gonna let it hurt. Yep. And eventually it will stop hurting, and I'll make some decisions based off of that. Yeah,
emotions are finite. As long as you decouple it from the story in your mind, you stop the story, allow the emotion to be there for a while, and it'll eventually dissipate. We also have some specific meditations we use and some other techniques to kind of facilitate this faster. But the root of all emotional work is learning to allow emotions to flow through you and also to learn to surf on them. Use them to your advantage to pull you where you need to go instead of being a victim of them. Most guys are like, they only allow like anger and frustration, happiness and horniness. They don't really allow the other ones.
Like curiosity,
like sadness, disappointment, fear, anxiety. They don't want to feel those things. So they push them back, and they're like, "Well, I just got to work harder. I just got to drive more. Drive. The thing is that processing an emotion in a healthy way flows through you. So in other words, if I'm watching a movie and there's a sad scene, you may see me cry, but then it's over a couple seconds later. That doesn't define me. That's not me. It's something that passed through me. Guys like, oh, I'm a pussy. I cried at a movie. It's like, no, the emotion came and flowed through. The problem is you identified with it and then compared it to your identity.
Oh, you're getting these guys to really look in and figure out who the fuck they are.
Oh yeah, at a deep level, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know what you want unless you know who you are?
Yeah.
And how do you have a boundary if you don't know who you are? Guys come in, I need boundaries. Well, what do you want?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, who are you?
Wow. I can see why these guys love you, dude. Because it's when you can help a guy figure out who he is, what he wants, he becomes confident and he stops getting tossed to and fro by what everybody else's opinion is. He's just like, no, I like this. I like fucking rock and roll. You can listen to your jazz shit all day long, but as far as I'm concerned, we're listening to Guns N' Roses. Like that, that's when a man you can, and people are attracted to that guy because he's like, well, he just likes what the fuck he likes. And
your quirks is what allows people to attach to you.
Yeah.
The guy who's afraid in the corner with his suit, he's afraid to move. He just looks very vanilla. He's afraid to express anything in himself, and so he's completely unattractive to everybody.
Yeah.
It's your quirks that make people like you. That's why I have a big fluffy red beard.
Yeah.
This crazy slick back hair.
That's what you like.
That's what I like. That's what I want to do. So I got my shirt on that says Conscious AF on it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's hilarious.
Because is that meaningful? What does that mean to you? What does Conscious AF?
Well, genuine attraction means relationship mastery for conscious men. To be conscious of yourself. Raise your consciousness. Ascend yourself.
Know who you are.
Yeah.
Got it. I like that, dude. Where do these guys find you?
They go to genuineattraction.com.
Genuineattraction.com. Are you on socials?
Yeah, you can go to LinkedIn at Coach Ed Baxter.
Okay.
I don't have them memorized, but mainly I'm doing on Instagram and YouTube, so you can find me at Genuine Attraction on YouTube as well.
What action would you want these guys to take? They've listened to you. They've gone, you know what?
If they're going through the shit. See, guys, they think they can fix a relationship on their own, and they'll stay there until they're completely backed into a corner. They don't have any other choice. They think they can save their marriage then. That's too late. We'll still get you there, but that's too late. Guys we're boneheaded. We're like, I fucking got this, bro. No, I got this. It's like, no, you don't fucking got this. Stop fucking deluding yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have it. If you had it, you would have fixed it 6 months ago. But you couldn't fix it 6 months ago because you had your head so far up your wife's ass that you ended up here.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you go to genuineattraction.com, fill out the survey, and set up a call with us. And
what is the impetus for why a guy thinks he can save his marriage? Like, what is causing that in him?
His pride. He's
Like
not looking.
He's
not
supposed
looking
to know this already.
He's either he's addicted to validation. He's like, I can't let this marriage fail for my kids. It's like, no, motherfucker, you can't let it fail because of your ego. No, but I love my kids. Yes, you love your kids. If you loved your kids, you would make sure that this relationship gets to a place where you have a good parenting solution. Not to be together. I would rather you separate from your wife and have an awesome co-parenting situation and let your kids see the toxic environment that they're in, because then they will be you. Your kids will be you.
Yeah.
Your daughter will cheat on her men, or she'll be with an abusive, narcissistic guy, and your sons will all be a bunch of pussies. And that's your fucking fault. Because you let it happen, because you're saving the marriage. No, you didn't save the marriage. You ruined your legacy.
Man, you got some strong certain concepts, Ed. I like them.
Bro, I've seen this thousands of times. Dude.
Yeah. How many guys have come through your program, roughly?
Over 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. We're not fucking around. Like, we're not experimenting on it. We've been doing this. I've been doing this for a long time.
Wow. I fucking love it, dude. Any last closing comments, thoughts, ideas? If you want to, you can look into this camera here. It might be great for fucking reels later, or just something that you're like, all right, guys, listen up. You can talk to that camera, or you can talk to me, however you want. Closing comments. 15,000 dudes are listening.
You fucking matter. You matter more than you believe. Your kids need you. Your wife needs you. Hopefully. I need you. I need you to rise up. And I care about you. I honestly do. And I will bleed for you. And I will go out there and I will fucking fight for you. I'll scream in your fucking face if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes to make you to move forward and rise up. Just know that I always care.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you're on the show. You came here the other night for the first time. We got to shoot some pool, have a good time, have some laughs. And I just appreciate what you're doing, man. I think there's a lot of guys that have been through a lot of what you're going through that look at you and go, I see myself in that guy. You know what I mean? Not every guy that listens to this podcast sees themselves in me, but that's why I like having other guys on here that are talking to guys at different seasons, because they see themselves, or they hear their story in your story, and they go, oh, fuck, there's hope. And that's what I've always wanted this podcast to be, was a beacon and a lighthouse of hope. for men to just be like, dude, there's other dudes out there. And what I like most about what you're saying is there's solutions. A lot of the stuff that a guy comes up with, you had concepts that shifted realities. You're like, no, that's not true. You're not saving your marriage. You're fucking ruining your legacy. A guy hears that and goes, well, that's a fucking different frame to look through. That's a different way of looking at this. And I love it, man. And I'm excited that you and I are going to be able to hang for a lot more times and that stuff. So listen, gang, if you are in this situation, you've heard Ed's voice and you're like, I can relate to that motherfucker because I'm going through the exact same thing, then go to genuineattraction.com, follow him on LinkedIn, Coach Ed Baxter. Go to Instagram, same thing, Coach Ed Baxter, something that genuineattraction.com. And listen, if you're not going through that, but you have friends, I always tell you, don't be a nerd, spread the word. Share this episode. Go to the file, go fucking share, copy link, and then go send it to your buddy. If you are watching one of your friends be a little pussy and not stand up for his marriage and stand up for who the hell he is, and you know he's going through this, or if you know a dude's being cheated on and he doesn't know it, this might be the episode you send them. And so, Ed, thanks. Appreciate having you on, man. Hopefully I'll have you on a lot more time. We'll dive deeper on some of these concepts that you've got going on. So, listen, don't be a nerd. Spread the word. And as always, keep crushing it because that shit is contagious.